Have you ever had the feeling that you're late to the party and you really can't tell if people are taking the topic ironically or seriously? That's what Nick All Star is. I for one am excited for the Smash-like game, starting with Nickelodeon Characters. Not for the gameplay or for the character process, and not for the memes, but the memes are quite enjoyable to look at while you wait for the game to be released. The reason is for the nostalgia of the Nick Flash games. You know, the era when instead of spending time watching YouTube videos, kids will go on Nick.com and play these simple yet enjoyable Flash games. I had so many memories playing these games, and sadly the next few installments kinda like the magic that the original two had. Until Nick's Super Brawl World and Super Universe came along, and that was more of a different story. Although, today we'll be talking about Nick All Star Brawl. Nick All Star Brawl is the first of the series to make it into home consoles and to be the non-Smash game that we talk about through all the media. Today I'm going to be predicting on the character roster. How would I do that exactly? Well, I won't just say which are the top 10 characters I want in the game because isn't that original. I created a tier list talking about all the Nicktoons shows, or almost all of them, and discussing if they should have a character or characters in the game. Also keep in mind I'm talking about Nicktoons only, not sitcoms, not Nick Jr. We'll talk about those alongside with shows that aired on Nick but aren't Nick originals, as well as Nick shows that share licenses. I could've just say which characters I want, but I think it's best looking over to Nick history. After all, the title of the game is Nick All Star Brawl. The word All Star means that Nick wants as many shows as they want in the game. So this is how my tier list works. A Nicktoon will be ranked in each category, starting with +3. The show is big enough to allow more than 3 characters in the roster. Now, I'm not too sure the limit will be. I would say 5 is a good limit. 3. The show's a good enough show to many audiences and it's a good show overall and has potential of getting 3 characters in the roster. 2. The show is well known enough to many people to get 2 characters in the game. What may be stopping it from getting in the tier list higher may be the lack of popularity, character choices, or putting in too many characters is more than enough for a series. 1. The show's either lacking characters, popularity, or fire potential in the game. If the show is good enough to be represented in the game and should have at least 1 character in it. 0. Well, it's not obvious. Characters that people don't want to game. The show may not be good, or just may not be strong to be in it. Possibly or possibly not. Now this category is a mixed one. It has good shows that we want to see but is lacking characters or fighting potential, or are shows that weren't as good as the others but we do want to see the characters from those shows as joke characters. Shows with 50-50 is what I'm saying. Licensing issues. Now these are shows that were on Nick and created by Nick but shared the rights with other companies, or they lost the rights to their original shows. I mentioned earlier that I may not get into every Nicktoons, so if there's a Nicktoons that I missed, just imagine if it was in the video and place it wherever you want that tier list, okay? Good. Alright, to kick things off with our Nicktoons tier list, let's start up in the 90s with our first ever original Nicktoons show, Doug. So, I really am not one to judge about the show itself, whether if it's good or bad. I do believe the first ever Nicktoons should get represented in the game. There is one problem now. Disney now owns the rights to Doug, and if they want to put Doug in the game, they're gonna have to make some licensing deals. So for now, we're gonna put in the licensing issues. Next up, Ren and Stimpy. The show already got Powder Toastman in the game, and that's a surprising no. I absolutely had no idea who Powder Toastman was until I discovered he's from Ren and Stimpy, and I am glad I found that Powder Toastman Save America clip. So it's obviously now that we need Ren and Stimpy themselves in the game. They're in the box cover arts, so it shouldn't be hard to get them in the game. The question is, would they work as separate fighters or would they work together? I mean, it'll be fun enough to play together, but like, I think it'd be fun if you play as Ren and you get to beat the hell out of Stimpy.
Stimpy, you idiot! You accidentally side B instead of up B to recover. And in the opposite direction, you double idiot! Which means I win.
Rugrats. The original Rugrats. Not all grown up, not preschool days, not the reboot, the original. I remember owning a VHS tape of Rugrats. I followed the adventures of the toddler as a kid, but growing up, I realized the struggles that some of the adults have. The show could be enjoyed by both kids and adults, so it would mostly be a crime if they had only one character in the roster. But can that be possible? We already got Reptar in the game, so what's stopping Tommy and Angelica from getting in? Well, when you think about it, are we gonna let some infants and toddlers fight against turtles with samurai swords, beings who can control the Earth's elements, and a teenage death machine? Nick may be afraid to add any of the babies in, and they might as well take the safe route of putting all their grown-up versions in it. If Reptar is the only Rugrats rep there is, get it? Reptar rep there is? Then there may only be one character from the series. So really, the only options the show could get is 1, probably, or 3. But we're gonna put 1 at the moment, just to be safe. Next up, Rocko's Modern Life. A lot of people who grew up with the show are coming back to see all the hidden adult humor that was in it, that they might as well miss when they were young. Also, got a movie added recently in 2019, so the show isn't that obscure. They could really add in 2 characters in the game, starting off with Rocko, of course, since he's the main character, and the second character could be either Heather, or they could go more of Sir with really big men to fight a Powder Toast Man. I'm placing this in 2. Real monsters. Already having Oblina may be enough, but we gotta have another monster in the game. The monsters have a kind of disguises, and even if you didn't watch the show, you might recognize them for all the merchandising that Nick has. Crew may be a good choice with his iconic designs of holding his eyes with his hands, as well as his hairy armpits. But is he really good at fighting? Because how can you throw a punch without hurting your own eyeballs? Icarus may be a better choice. He could be fast and sneaky like Pikachu. From a show like Our Real Monsters, I think the best number to put this on is 2.
Hey Arnold, we already have Helge, and so we obviously need Football Head himself. 2. I watched the first episode of Hey Arnold, and man, he truly is a good guy to hang around with. That football head of his is giving him ideas, and just helping his friends before himself. This may be the reason why people love this show, and remembered by many how relatable some of the situations is. We could have Gerald in there as well, but I think 2 is quite enough, and they want to make more room for other shows. Kablam. After finding an episode on YouTube, Kablam is a very different show compared to the other Nicktoons back in the 90s. It was a show showcasing skits that could be seen in a comic, such as 2D animation, live action toy animation, chunk animation, claymation, and it's all great, honestly. The show is all hosted by Henry and June, and there's a possibility Kablam could have a representation in the game. Mostly not, since it's a 90s Nicktoon I barely hear anybody talking about, but it might have a chance. Henry and Jude could work together, or if they really can't, I would like them to see them to be the announcers of the games hosting Nick All Star Brawl. Wouldn't that be cool? Angry Beavers. I'm not too familiar with the Angry Beavers, and I honestly gotta say that maybe they be cut from the game, because like they don't want the roster to be mostly about 90s, and they want to make room for the 2000s and 2010s characters as well. I do believe that it has a better chance of getting in than Kablam. Now I'm just thinking the Angry Beavers planting a seed, growing a tree, and chopping it down with their teeth. Similar to Villager, but instead of an X, it's just with their teeth. Cat Dog. What is there more to say? Is Cat Dog. They're in the cover art, so they're obviously gonna be in there. Nobody else. 1. The Wild Thornberries. We already got Nigel Thornberry in the game, so could we get Eliza in there as well? Mostly not, in my opinion. They added Nigel just for the meme potential. Plus I think he's a better fighter than Eliza herself. 1.
I'll do this with my hands.
SpongeBob Flappin' Flanding SquarePants. To get to the point, we all know the show has a BN+3 team. Knowing that SpongeBob started in 1999, it really is one of the only Nicktoons that witnessed all the other Nicktoons dying. And it's one, no matter what generation you grew up in, the show is so popular that this is really how Nick judged the other shows. Oh, what's that? People do enjoy watching your shows? Well, here's another schedule, okay? Don't be late. Oh, what's that? People are not watching your shows? I don't understand. I give you such a generous ear. I feel guilty doing this, actually. Aside from talking how SpongeBob shaped Nickelodeon as a channel nowadays, we really need to talk about the characters themselves. The show deserves another or 2 characters at least. The question is who? We need Squidward to complete the trio, but Mr. Krabs would be a fun fighter to play as. Also, Plankton would make more sense. He could just create a robot to defeat you. But I would like Mermaid Man to fight Powder Toast Man. Rocket Power. I actually do remember the show's existence because it was advertised in the back of a SpongeBob menu book.
I really can't say much more about the show since I didn't watch it and I really am not a sportsman myself. But I do know that people do want Rocket and his friends in there, but I think Rocket is more than enough. He can perform cool skateboarding tricks to defeat his opponents.
But hey, who am I to judge? I'm sure people will be happy to see him and Tito Makani will be proud too. 1. Next up, As Told by Ginger. I'll place this at probably, mainly because I don't think there's a character in the show that has fighting potential. The Fairly Odd Parents. Ladies and gentlemen, before the success of The Loud House competing against SpongeBob, this show was the next big thing to watch, and was trying to destroy SpongeBob at the time. Okay, maybe I'm oversaturating a bit, but it was, and I'll place it at 3. As for the characters, we obviously need Timmy Turner, the main protagonist of the show, and I do hope he joins alongside Cosmo and Wanda as specials, making wishes for his moveset, yet he isn't allowed to defeat his enemies by just wishing them away. That would be totally broken. Our second pick will be Mr. Crocker. Timmy's evil teacher should be an overbiggie because I think Mr. Crocker is a better and funnier villain than a babysitter who's getting paid for anything but babysitting. And he has his chance and permission to beat up Timmy Turner and his very odd parents. And for number 3, I'm picking Crimson Chin. Imagine a free-for-all battle of 4 players: Powder Toast Man, really big guy, Mermaid Man, and Crimson Chin fighting in one game. Oh, and the results could be Nega Chin. Invader Zim. We all know Zim is in the game and he deserves another fighter in the game. His shows watched by kids and loved by adults, and have recently got a movie like Rock on Netflix. In my honest opinion, Gert could secretly be a fighter, and the trailer could have made it look like he was just part of Zim's moveset. However, in the end of the trailer, it's shown there fighting alongside Patrick's team, going against Helga, and both sides have 5 people. I won't be surprised if Gert is a fighter and he doesn't even realize it yet. Dip could be the other fighter, or Professor Membrane. Really, the only problem I have with this show is where to place it at. I would say 2 for now, but if you want to bump it up to 3, you would. I know you would. Chalk Zone. I didn't know this show existed until I saw the snappy cool Smash Bros. Plus Nicktoons poster made by one of Nick artist who came out with that brilliant idea, and the person or people who helped him with that project. It's so cool. The only thing I'm gonna say is that with that chalk that Rudy is holding is enough to be a fighter. But with Snap on the side, doing the basic attacks and Ruin doing all the special attacks, they are unstoppable. I will put them at possibly or possibly not. I wouldn't mind if they are, and it would be cool to play with them. Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. We all know that Jimmy Neutron is the smart choice of picking him as a fighter, using his gadgets and his dogs to win to victory. But we all know that when it comes to this community, we want Hugh Neutron in the game more than his son. With the inclusion of Nigel Thornberry in the game, it's not an all-ball that Hugh Neutron will get in the game as well. But not to 100% and minus 50% sure the developers were 3 steps ahead of his time and thinking that people wanted Hugh in the game. However, the people who made this game is the same people who made a perfect Smash clone called Slap City. And I feel like they will know what the community wanted. But if Hugh can't be in the game on launch date, then I guess DLC will be the next perfect fit for him to join in. So I picked 2. Rugrats All Grown Up. Like I mentioned before, if Nick isn't okay with the baby versions of the Rugrats getting in the game, then they could just use their all grown up version in there. Also, a quick mention that Nickelodeon created Rugrats pre. Next up, my favorite Nicktoons, My Life as a Teenage Robot. Teenage Robot isn't a scared show, yet not as scared as the other Nicktoons show here that has gained love and support by many in the community. And thanks to a video I don't want to mention right now, My Life as a Teenage Robot has gained popularity and is being viewed by many who haven't watched it during this airing time. Now I love Teenage Robot. I bought all 3 seasons on DVDs, I created projects about Jenny, and even though I wasn't a teenager when it aired, I could relate to Jenny Wakeman feeling an outcast from the rest of the school. Plus she is a really cool superhero like Spider-Man. And I had a crush on her when I was younger. Jenny Wakeman is a super robot, and she is perfect for a fighting game like this. And really, she's so perfect that we don't even know what her movesets will be like. The devs did say that you could lock moves and customize your fighters, and it would be cool to see Jenny in action. I won't be surprised if Jenny is in, but a big surprise would be if they included a second character from the series, like Vexus, the main antagonist of My Life as a Teenage Robot. Nick, please add in Jenny Wakeman in the game, and I will forgive you for cancelling the show from getting the 4th season. Just kidding, I actually won't, but please add her in. I'm putting My Life as a Teen Robot in 2. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit biased that I actually do want 2 fighters in the game instead of 1. He's a phantom. Well, we already got Danny Phantom from Danny Phantom as a Danny Phantom rep, so do we need more Danny Phantoms? Yes. Let's just add in Vlad Plasmis in for more villain representations in the game. But can we add another character in the game? What? Another? Isn't 2 enough? Yeah, but Danny Phantom has so many interesting villains who deserve a fighting chance, like Skulker, Technus, Amber, Box Ghost? Yeah, sure, whatever. It's mainly up to you to decide, because I didn't watch Danny Phantom, but boys, it make me want to watch it. I really do want to see it right now. 3. The Avatar series. This one is quite self-explanatory. The show is great for both kids and for adults to enjoy. This truly is something that a wide variety of people could enjoy, and that's why it's being talked even up to this day. So popular that when people saw the trailer, the first thing they wanted to see was either Aang or Korra. Luckily for them, they're in the box art, but can we get more Avatar characters? I would say Avatar is like this game's version of Pokemon, where this game's version of Super Mario is SpongeBob, this game version of Fire Emblem is the Loud House, and this game version of Sora is Doug. I'm gonna be ranking these 2 shows together since they are in the same universe. Of course, we need Aang, Zoku, Toph, and Sokka. Boy, I hope I pronounced those names right and the Avatar Nation will come over here and attack me. Also, we could get Korra and older Aang, so we could have a Link and young Link version of this game. I'm gonna place this at +3. Link and young Link, Doug and Sora. Man, and I thought we weren't gonna compare this game to Smash anymore. We just found more comparisons. Cat Scratch. I swear, I thought this show aired on the late 90s or early 2000s. They barely even look like cats. Gordon looks close to cats, but Waffles looks like something else, and Mr. Blick looks like a demon. It wasn't a Nicktoon I watched, even though it was around my time, so I really cannot say I want them in, but I wouldn't mind. I'm pretty sure other people would. They could work as a single fighter, and with all the money they own, they can pay their way to being in the game. Ranking this one at possibly The Exes. A super secret family of spies with good art style, but the show's lucky popularity is a show that was also having trouble being in the game. We got Ariel Monsters and Nigel Thornberry as a character. But like, to be honest right here, does anybody remember this show? I'm placing this as possibly since they do have fighting potential. Yeah. Mr. Meat and Zero. Sorry, but like, the puppets in Mr. Meaty truly freak me out. If you want them in the game, then I really can't tell why, but okay. El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera. I remember watching this show and it was a good one to watch. Our star Manny Rivera, aka El Tigre, is perfect to fire up opponents with his tiger claws and have been mentioned in games and got Happy Meal toys. If only Jenny got her own toy. It's clear to see that the show isn't all forgotten for its unique and recognizable art style and is still remembered by many. We need El Tigre and Santana de la Muerta, aka Santana of the Dead, in here. 2. Wayside. I remember watching the movie, but never realized that it got an actual series on Nickelodeon. Being based on the original timeless stories Wayside School, I remember Mrs. Gurf and her ability of turning anybody into apples. Pretty much the most iconic story from all the stories, in my opinion. And I feel like this will bring a nostalgia factor to those who read the books and remember the movie and series. So the character that could be represented from the show could be Marissa. And I'm gonna place this at 1. Well, for me, since I read the books. Possibly the most forgotten Nicktoons, Kappa Mikey. I didn't know this show existed until people were bringing it up, and I say that's a good thing. If it's Nick's most lost show, and people are mentioning it throughout all Twitter, then they really must want Kappa Mikey in the game. The show itself is about Mikey going to Japan for an acting career, and saves the show being made from a Japanese company from cancellation. The show captures the anime art style once Mikey arrives in Japan, while he is animated normally like any Western animated character. This unique idea of 2 art styles is mostly why people remember it so much, and it really does make sense because Mikey does look like the odd one out in this. It's also the only Nick show that has a Cartoon Network cameos by Ami and Yumi from Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi. Hey Nick, for a sequel, maybe you could partner out with Cartoon Network to make a Nick vs Cartoon Network game. Well, anyways, I'm gonna put Kappa Mike in possibly. Tech and the Power of Juju. Something that I didn't know about Tech was that his games came before the show. I was actually quite a little bit surprised. I'm pretty sure people who played the games enjoyed it so much that Nick tried to make an animated show on it. But was it that good? This one will be personal, and I'm putting him at 0. Sorry, I just really can't sympathize that I wanted Tech in the game. Back at the Barnyard. Back when the show aired on Nick, it didn't perform well to audiences, and they really disliked the show until years later people do find liking to the random humor so much that they make memes out of it, like the Viewer Mail and Dr. Pig memes. It is possible that the developers have already put a notice in the game just for the memes like Nigel Thornberry. Although I'm not too sure if Nick is happy that Barnyard is in the game, knowing that they believe it's a bad show. I'm gonna put the show at...
Hey folks, viewer mail time again. Oh, here's one from Sally, age 14. Dear Pig, aren't you interrupting
directing of a video?
Well, the answer is yes, Sally. Yes, I am. Keep those cards and letters coming.
Coming back to the list, we got The Mighty Bee. I remember watching this show when it aired on Nick, and it didn't feel boring, mainly for the random jokes and overexpressive faces that the show has. It's like modern SpongeBob but done right, because SpongeBob was its own thing in its first 3 seasons, and this show isn't a SpongeBob clone. Plus, Bessie Higginbottom has the warrior face and fighting spirit energy to be a fighter. I'm rating this show at 1. Making Fiends. Making Fiends is a mini-series that aired on Nicktoons Network from October 4th, 2008 to November 1st, 2008. Since this is probably one of the only Nicktoons shows that has a very small airing time, there isn't many audiences to convince Nick to put it in the game. The show itself is a good show and really wholesome, if you ask me. Bandana keeps making Fiends to stop Charlotte from ruining her perfect horrible life. It is the Fiends that end up becoming friends with Charlotte. Pretty much every episode is on YouTube and you can check it out if you want. Possibly, I do want this show to be in the game. Los Pingüinos de Madagascar. Since the Penguins are a DreamWorks property, it only makes sense that we have to put them in the licensing issues, but it'll be fun seeing them as playable characters, especially Skipper.
Since I saw the show and remember it through my memories, I thought it was bad, but there are parts that were enjoyable and made the show decent.
I also think that Fanboy and Chunchun would be cool fighters to play as and against us. They have so many movesets referencing from their show. Anyways, Fanboy Chunchun isn't a total garbage, but it truly is better than Breadwinners. Planet Sheen, and we are getting to the point that we are placing this at 0 because it really is a terrible spin-off show. However, if they put in Sheen as a Planet Sheen representation, then that's just 3 Team Neutron characters in the game instead of 2. Tough Puppy. I like this show. It's not perfect like Fairy Odd Parents or Danny Phantom, but it isn't one of Butchman's work. And the show could have been worse like some of Butchman's future shows. The show is also one of the better shows that had been shown in the 2010s era, and the show could really represent the 2010 era by putting Doug Lee and Kitty into the game. If 2 is more than enough, then I guess 1, but I'm placing it in 2 just for my own nostalgia of the show. Robot and Monster. The show itself is not bad, it's just not memorable enough to be in the game. That is strange, knowing that it has a unique world where they live in a society with monsters and robots living as civilians and loving bacon, and the world build truly is most memorable thing about the show. And yet, I don't think anybody's talking about it that much. I will put the show at probably, and maybe either Robot or Monster, no, that's their actual names, could be as fighters, and Marv could be the Mr. Saturn of this game. Plus, the show's better than Breadwinners. Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness. Since this is a DreamWorks property, we're gonna put a licensing issue, but Po will make sense as a fighter. Sanjay and Craig. I have mixed feelings for the show. The negative thing is that it was trying to rip off the success of regular show and failed since they missed the important thing that made regular show a great show. It's not about the bad adult humor in it, but it's more about the relatable situations that our characters are in. The show feels so much of a mess, but yet it isn't complete garbage, and it does have its own funny moments, like the scene where their grouchy neighbor called in like pest control to take care of a snake. The van came in rolling out, and as well as the exterminator was rolling out the window, and then when she saw the snake, she's like, oh no, that's not pest, that's an injured animal. Then they call an ambulance, and then the same thing happened to the ambulance where it was rolling out and the nurse was coming out. I mean, I was just laughing remembering that. Plus, the show's better than a low possibly chance. Monsters vs. Aliens. I thought this was a good idea to get a TV show before Megamind. Megamind would have been a great TV show. Licensing issues, but if I were to rank this, it would probably be at 0. I swear, I thought I mentioned Breadwinners like 3 times before. without even ranking the show. Oh yeah, the show wasn't that good, it was annoying if anything. It's one thing if you try to make a great show but it turns out to be annoying, but if you're designing your show to be bad, then I am speechless. The show is an interesting world as well, where ducks deliver bread to other ducks like a milkman, and the bread he delivers unique and from another bread and have any purposes of them. It was a good idea, but you didn't bother accomplishing it.
0. You don't even deserve to be in the possibility list. If anything, then tag does, not you breadwinners. Hello, before we move forward, I forgot about Winx Club was a show that aired on Nickelodeon, and saying that it's a girly show isn't a bad show. I really can't rank it since I don't know if girls who watched when they were younger even give the slightest of it today. So it's up to you to decide if the show does deserve to be represented in Nickelodeon. Going back to our ranking video, we got Harvey Beaks. I feel bad for Harvey Beaks because it was a good and wholesome show to watch and it really didn't get the runtime it deserves. Harvey Beaks is a kid who isn't annoying in the slightest and will brighten up your day, while his best buds, Fee and Fo, are crazy and wild and that could get on your nerves, but with the three together, balance is created, as everything should be. And their adventures as well, and they look out for each other. The show itself also has so many side characters who could steal the show, like Princess with her deep voice and envy of being the center of attention. It really is hard to decide who will be a good pick since Harvey is the main character of the show, but Fee and Fo have the fighting spirit within them. At the moment, I'll place it at 1. Pig, Goat, Banana, and Cricket. I did not like the show. It felt kinda bland. It had plots that could have been interesting, but it felt hollow. But is it better than Breadwinners? 0. Well, we made it, the only Nicktoon show that is currently competing against SpongeBob, and that is The Loud House. I watched the first 3 seasons and a handful of the 4th and 5th season, and it's an enjoyable show to watch, and each character is quite unique, whether that be the main Loud cast or the side characters that are shown in the show. We already got the white-haired Lincoln Loud and one of his younger sisters being Lucy Loud, and I won't be surprised if they added another character from the Loud House, whether that be one of the sisters or Clyde, who is like the sidekick and bro of the show. Just like how SpongeBob has Patrick, Arnold has Gerald, etc. A Loud sister that could be perfect for this game will be Lynn Loud, since she is very competitive in all sports that she plays in, and this is a fighting game, and people do play fighting games competitively, so she will make a perfect fit. Let's just hope we don't have too many Loud House characters in here. We don't want another Fire Emblem hate going around. Time to rank this at 3. I feel like it's a good time to talk about TMNT, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Since Nick had owned the rights for them for a while, they are using their 80s designs instead of the 2012 or the rights of the TMNT shows they have created for the past years. When deciding on who the characters should be, we obviously need Raphael and Donatello to complete the squad, and Shredder as a villain representation. The TMNT series is known by many people, whether you grew up in the 80s or was enjoying the 2 shows that aired on Nickelodeon, and it really does deserve as many characters as SpongeBob will get in the game. I would say that it's possible that we get the 2012 Turtles designs as alts, but maybe not the rise of TMNT, since the designs for the Turtles over there are more pronounced, like Raphael so big and Donatello's tall and skinny. Welcome to the Wayne. I feel bad to people, including myself, who were enjoying the show and want to see more of it, since it was cancelled quickly, only airing 9 episodes in the US. If you don't know about the show, I gotta give a quick rundown in 3, 2, 1, go. A kid whose name I don't know how to pronounce is our main character of the show and moves into a hotel called the Wayne, where he meets Ollie Timbers and Sarah Lane Timbers, who are siblings, and discover a handful of secrets of the Wayne. Together they show the kids, who I don't know his name, all of the secrets, and they go on uncover more secrets and go on adventures, and it's something quite to enjoy. Until Nickelodeon decided to get rid of it from its network, and it flew under my radar. I don't know why Nickelodeon did this, and don't say because it wasn't popular as SpongeBob thing. It was like watching Gravity Falls, but all the mysteries took place in the hotel from Luigi's Mansion 3. It wasn't perfect, but it could have been something remembered by many, and you blew Nickelodeon. So I'm placing this at possibly. I did mention that 9 episodes aired on the US, but all the other episodes aired outside the country, like Mexico or Germany.
Bunsen is a beast. I didn't like the show, and this really was the era where Butchman was putting like less effort into his like projects. 0.
The Adventures of Kid Danger. Does this really count as a Nicktoons? Could say that it's a spin-off of Henry Danger. Well, we'll talk about sitcom characters later on, but if I had to rank the show, it really wasn't a good show. The sitcom was better. It's probably the most laziest animated Nicktoons shows out there. Even some of the worst shows have better animations, like Pickle Banana Cricket and Breadwinners. Pinky Malinky. This show didn't air on Nick, it was on Netflix, it still is. So like, since I don't have Netflix, I really can't judge much. All I gotta say is that, does the art style remind you of Gumball? It does kind of remind me of Nature World Gumball. Casa Grandes. Technically, this show's a spin-off of The Loud House, but I'm placing this at 1 because I feel like Nick wants the more modern cartoons to be represented. I won't be surprised if Ronnie Yen will be in as a Casa Grandes representation. It's Pony. Being one of the newest Nicktoons out there, I haven't seen it yet because I feel like it's like not there for me. The concept of a girl with a pony living in the city could be interesting, but I feel like something is missing. I won't say it's a bad show, it's just like I'm really not into it. It could be good actually, or decent at least. I'm placing this as possibly, since this is a newer generation of Nicktoons, and I don't think they're gonna put the newest Nicktoons in the game, especially in this year. But hey, I may be wrong. Glitch Tech. I don't have Netflix, but I heard everything but bad things from the show. People seem to enjoy it and they want Five and Miko in the game. As I'm not too sure if Nick will allow that, knowing that a lot of people may not know the show's existence in Netflix. But I don't want to say they can't be in the game, and I won't mind if they are in. If Glitch Tech is a good show as people say it is, then it deserves better. Possibly. Camp Coral and the Patrick Show. 0 for Camp Coral, and I am very surprised that Patrick from the Patrick Show is in the game, knowing that his show is super new. And if Nick allows that, then there shouldn't be any problem doing Glitch Tech, and Nick, we're watching you. Middlemost Post. This show is super new, and I don't think Nick will allow the game for being new, but it may have a chance of gaining as DLC. The show is harmless and charming. It reminds me of Chowder in a way. Peter J. Cloud is our main character and he wants to deliver mail like English Shackleton. It also has that similar SpongeBob charm into it, since it's created by John Trabick, who was a storyboard artist on season 9 to 13 of SpongeBob SquarePants. This show is honestly better than my SpongeBob in my opinion. It may not be perfect, but it's the right step for Nickelodeon to take instead of just creating spin-offs. Funny that Nickelodeon does more spin-offs than they do with reboots actually. I mean, we want reboots of all Nicktoons, am I right? Even if they're not that good, they should try something new. I'm placing Middlemost Post at possibly. Now that we put in every show in each category, we're gonna organize them from most to least likely to have those number of fighters in the game. There we go. Just want to say something now, that even if my tier list is wrong, that we may not get as many fighters as we done in the game, it's just fun to look over at Nick history. Tell me, will there be any other event that will make us look over at the history of Nickelodeon, viewing every cartoon that we known or that we have not even known that was a Nickelodeon property? It truly was fun making this. But we're not done yet. We gotta talk about sitcoms, Nick Jr., and shows that aired on Nick but are Nickelodeon originals. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Shows like Kung Fu Panda, Pain Madagascar, and Monsters vs. Aliens, for some reason, instead of Mega Man shows, are property from DreamWorks, but the parts are created by and aired on Nickelodeon. Doug is a Nickelodeon original, but is now owned by Disney, and nobody's sure if they could add them in the game that easily or had to make a deal with the mouse. Nickums, so I didn't know they were actually called Nickums, and that was a joke name I would give them for a while. Could be a possibility, but the thing is that Nickelodeon will have trouble getting the actors' faces in the game, so it may not be that easy. It's not impossible, but it's just hardly possible. There are 3 Nick Jr. characters that I could think of that could have a very high possibility of being in the game. That is Dora the Explorer, Blue from Blue's Clues, alongside with Steve, Joe, and Josh being alts, as well as Chase from Paw Patrol. But the question is, will Nick Jr. characters be in the game? My answer is that yes, they possibly would. Quick mentions that Nick also owns the rights to the Power Rangers as well as Garfield, and I don't know if the Power Rangers have a chance of being in. Maybe one Ranger could be in, but Garfield I would like to see him being in, even though they didn't even made a show about him just yet. But he is a popular icon, and it won't be a surprise to many people. Actually, maybe a surprise to those who didn't know that Garfield was owned by Nickelodeon now. Also, shows that aired on Nickelodeon but aren't Nick originals could possibly show up as third-party characters as well as guest characters, like Animaniacs being on Nickelodeon, having all the logo plastered over, like Hulu's, except without the punchline. Batman, Spectacular Spider-Man, wait a minute, Spectacular Spider-Man? I just realized that's made by Sony. And there could be a possibility that Sony will pull the we own the show card, and we will have Spider-Man exclusively on PS4, PS5, like for Adventures, as well as our 2 own games. That would be the biggest surprise to anyone, actually. If that does turn out true, I'm just speechless, actually. The cons of me getting the PS4 version will be that the Wi-Fi won't be that good, since my PS4 really can't connect to the Wi-Fi router like 3 rooms away. So that's why I really bought the Switch version, so I could just play next to the Wi-Fi router. But the pros will be that I'll have those dream team-ups and fight-offs of Jenny and Spider-Man, like how I drew in my comics.
Hey, this merch are coming to Nickelodeon. I didn't know that. Wait, if they're coming this soon, that means they're getting before Garfield. No!